In this video, we are looking at the difference between the old style no air loss chuck and the new PT shock chuck. So this is a knurled chuck, a no air loss chuck, zero loss chuck. It has a bunch of different names, but they all essentially amount to what this function is. And that's basically that it can attach to a Schrader valve or a shock chuck valve stem specifically, and depress the pin and open that valve in two different motions. This style in particular was borrowed from the aviation industry, which means that we've kind of had to adapt it for off-road shocks and use this as a solution that wasn't really designed for this application, shock tuning. So there's two main pain points with this for us as off-roaders. One is this T-handle on top. It's not very ergonomic, it's very simple to use, but it's not the easiest in terms of clearance, getting your fingers on there. It's not comfortable. And then at the bottom where you're actually turning onto your valve stem, if you can look in there, that's actually a copper seal. The aviation industry uses a copper seal because this needs to be rated for 3,000 pounds of pressure, 3,000 PSI, which is way overkill for shocks. Standard off-road shock is anywhere from 200 to 250 PSI of nitrogen. Special applications might go up to 600, but in general, 3,000 is going to be way overkill. And that makes this difficult to use, or at least more difficult than it needs to be. And the main thing here is when you're attaching it to your shock, go open the pin first. To get that copper to seal, you actually do need to use a wrench. So you can get it hand tight, but to get it all the way to create a leak-free seal, you do need to get a wrench on here. And so we've developed our own wrench specifically for this chuck, but we figured, why don't we just redesign the chuck, make it easier to use. So now I gotta take this off again with a wrench. This is the power tank replacement. This is the PT shock chuck. You can tell right away that there are some key differences, namely that there's a thumb nut here, knurled thumb nut, and knurled thumb nut here at the top. So it functions in exactly the same way. You screw it down onto the valve stem first with the pin up. But because we are using a soft material for a seal, you can hand tighten it. So all you need is 2-finger tight, and then you can depress the pin like this. That way you can charge your shock, then close the valve by unscrewing this. That basically shuts the pin here, and I can disconnect without losing any nitrogen pressure. We do give you the wrench flats if you are in a tight, hard to reach spot, difficult to get your fingers in, and the power wrench functions exactly the same. It's the same diameter. We only make the PT shock chuck with a female 1/8 MPT thread, but if you do need male threads for your application, if you want to swap one of these out, we sell a male-to-male stainless steel adapter. That gives you 1/8" male threads. If you need a Schrader valve extension, say your valve stem is recessed, certain Fox shocks do this. I've seen Bilsteins have a recessed valve stem as well. This gets screwed up on top. And then the pin functions just like the regular Schrader. This gets slammed on top, just like that. And then you can depress the pin. Another accessory that you might need for your shock, I believe Polaris uses a needle fill. I know some mountain bike shocks use a needle fill, and so we have a needle fill assembly. It comes with 3 needles, and again, just undo the cap, and it screws into your PT shock chuck, just like that. The PT shock chuck is now standard on all power tank shock inflation kits, shock inflation tools, like our Shock Boss. or you can buy it as a standalone unit to upgrade any of your existing shock equipment, whether it's from PowerTank or another manufacturer tool. This will be a pretty much direct fit replacement. Check out powertank.com or click the link in the description for all your shock inflation needs.